Hi friends, today I am out in my garden and we just planted a ton of these. I love these. They remind me of when I was a kid, and my grandma had these, which we just sold her house after, gosh, 60 years of her living there. She had these in her yard and I thought they were the coolest when I was a kid because they'd get these little moth type, I called them butterflies, but they were like a moth, and I would catch them and then she'd make me let them go at the end of the day. But I just think they're really cool and I'm seeing them all over, and I bought these for our garden and I love how they have all these different colors. So I picked a tiny one here, which I'm looking at, and there's little black bugs crawling on it. That's funny. I didn't notice those earlier. I don't know what those are. Oh, gee, gads. Okay. Anyways, I try to check flowers when I pick them because I've carried in spiders before. These are a couple others I have, which I'm hoping to paint. These are my yellow roses. I love them because they have a lot of pink on the edges. And this one, shh, don't say anything, but I picked that out of my neighbors. They had a ton of them, so hopefully they don't care. I'm gonna figure out what those are. Don't know what those are yet. So let's see. I thought I'd try a couple different ways of painting those just to kind of play. And I think the color I'm going to use, just looking at, by the way, I'm using 140 pound cold press. These are the Artisto pads. I love, love, love. Have tons of them. I label them. They're really nice and textured and a great price for students. I buy them in a 3-pack, and they're perforated, so I can tear them off if I really want to keep them. I think the color I'm going to use, I'm using my MeiLiang palette. You know, I love these. They're so rich and yummy and creamy. I love them. And they have all my favorite colors. So I don't have to mix anything. They literally have every color. I think I'm going to go for the madder red and maybe a little cad orange, or maybe even cad yellow, and let it kind of blend and do its thing. So let's just play, see what happens. Okay, so the madder red, which I need to switch these two. This is, because somebody asked me this, if you get your palette, actually the madder red is the second one, but I have the rose red here. I don't even know how that happened, but anyway, that's what's going on here. Okay, so I'm going to put some of this in my palette here. Let's find a little spot. This is an old antique. I think it was originally, oh, look at, I got those little black bugs on here. Oh my gosh. I never kill anything either, guys, but these are kind of creepy. They came off of here somewhere. Anyway, okay. I digress. So I'm going to put some of that. Yeah, I like that color. It's really dark, but when I add in the yellow, I think it'll lighten it up. So I'll go ahead and put some of that in here. I found this little tray. Oh my gosh, there's another one, you guys. Holy moly. I found this in my grandma's house. So I thought, oh my gosh, that is so pretty. I'm going to grab that and paint on it. Okay. Adding about 50% water, 50 pigment. That's kind of just where my starting point is. A lot of times when I start painting, I will make it lighter because you can always go darker in watercolors. And let's see, then let's get, now I have to be careful. So I've also got here my Meeden wash and rinse well. I love these. They're really good quality, and I used to use like just solo cups and different things, but I was always spilling them. So I really appreciate this. Make sure you're washing and then you rinse, because I'm using yellow as well. So if I have any red on my brush, because watercolors are so transparent, it's gonna tint my yellow. So that's why it's really important to always wash and rinse your brush, because you don't want to carry over a darker color. So I'm going to get some of this, because I'm working wet and wet. I want to make sure I have my paints ready to go so that my paint doesn't dry before I get to it on my palette. So there's some yellow. And then the green, I've got some green here, so I won't worry about that. Okay. So let's see what we can do here. I'm sure there's a couple different ways that come to mind for me. Trying to decide if I want to go red to yellow or yellow to red. I think, oh my gosh, there is another little tiny bug. Sheesh, they look like little miniature ants. Okay, so I'm gonna start by using that yellow. So I want to use a light yellow, and be careful because cad yellow, which is the yellow I'm using here, can be really strong. So I'm hesitating because I'm trying to figure if I do want to start with yellow and go to red. I think I will. No, you know what? I'm going to go red to yellow. Okay. So just washing and rinsing my brush, and I'm using an 8 round, by the way. These are my brushes that hopefully will come out the 1st of summer. I'll put a link below and you can check them out, what they are. And as soon as I get enough interest, they will go ahead and release them. They're going to be $55, by the way. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to go in with the tip of my brush. This is the tip or toe of your brush. When I just want to incorporate the tip of my brush, I hold my brush upright by the handle, and because I want a little bit of control here, I'm going to hold it closer to the base of the handle here. All right, and I'm just going to kind of scribblish here and create some little, this is just my first way of doing this. Let's go along here and see how this works. I almost feel like I want to add some of my rose red, which, you know, I love that color. Sometimes I just can't get away from it, guys. It's like I have to add it in, or it makes me like I can't control it. I love that rose red. Okay, so I'm kind of getting, you know, when I paint, I just try and get like the feel for that flower. I don't try to get it exact. That's just boring to me. I'll just take a picture if I want it that exact. Okay, and then I'm going to wash and rinse my brush. Here's where that's really important. I want to make sure all that red is out. So I washed it, rinsed it, and now I'm just tapping it off and it's clear. So I know that red is out. And then I'm going to go into the yellow. So this was wet on dry. So my paint is only going exactly where I put it. Now I'm going wet into wet, some dry, but wet into wet. So I don't want to have as much pigment and water on my brush because otherwise it's just going to completely puddle. So you can tap it off. You could tap it off on your towel here, just to remove some of that paint. And then I'll go in here and I'm going to start adding in, using the tip of my brush, some of that yellow. And what I'm hoping is the yellow will be in the middle, and where it kind of blends, it will turn orangish. And I'm also leaving a lot of white space because if you look really close at this flower, they're all individual little flowers and they don't have really individual petals, but kind of. That's getting really detailed. So I like the way that looks. I like that kind of washy color. Now before it dries, I want to wash and rinse my brush and go in and grab some of this green, which, oh my gosh, there's another one. What the heck? Where are they coming from? I feel like if I shake this, they'd all fall out. So I'm not going to do that. Sheesh. Sorry, little bugs. I have to smash you. Okay, and then let's see. So these leaves kind of poke out from the branches, and I want it to bleed like that. So wet and wet, it's going to bleed. But wet and dry, if you can see there, it's not going anywhere. So part of that is wet and dry, where it's hitting wet paint, it's kind of spreading. Okay. And they get bigger at the bottom and then smaller at the top. So that's kind of what I'm going to do here. I love doing these exercises like picking out flowers and then trying to paint them. Okay, so that would be my first approach with that. And I might go in and maybe just add, tapping off the extra, because this is wet and wet, so I don't want to have as much liquid on my brush. And just to get some darker areas, tap in. So I'm picking up pigment, but then tap, 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 because I don't want to go in with a ton of liquid, and just dotting in with the tip of my brush. So I get some more of those darker red around the edges, like that. Ooh, yeah, I like that. So always keeping that in mind. I know I'm repeating myself, but I think it's important. When you've already got wet paint or wet paper, you don't want to go in with as much liquid and paint, water and paint, because it's just going to spread and go crazy. If you're going wet on dry, it's only going to go where you're putting it, because watercolors go where water is. Okay, let's try another technique. I'm going to use this little sponge I have here, and I'm just going to get it a little bit wet in my clean water, and then I'm going to pick up some of this red paint. Now, that's awfully wet. Let me pick up a little bit. I'm just going right into my palette here. So it's pretty, that's probably 80–90% pigment. And let's just see. I want a thinner edge, so I'm just going to use the edge of my little sponge here. And it's kind of bigger too. There we go. And then I want to, oh, dang it, I cleaned it in the wrong side. Don't do that. Okay, let's try and get it as clean as I can. Okay, because I'm going into lighter water, so it might have a little bit of red in it. And then let's pick up this yellow that I have here. Maybe grab a tiny bit more. And I'm going to go in now. So this is just a different way to maybe do these. So there you go. That's another technique. Now I feel like what I would want to do there is go in with some of that darker red. So I'm going to wet my brush. Now I have no clean water, by the way. They're both kind of reddish. Don't do that. If you at home have a cleaner water and a wash water, so wash and rinse. Your rinse water should be pretty clean. So I just picked up some paint here, quite thick, so probably 80% pigment, 20% water. And I'm just going to go in around the edges, kind of like I did here, because I want some darker areas. And I'm just using the tip of my brush and kind of swirling it around to get some of the little flowers on the outside. Let me pick up a little bit more here. There we go. And same thing. And then I'll go in and add some leaves too. So I'm just doing little swirlies. Yes, that's my word. That's not necessarily a brush stroke. And that's quite dramatic. What I want to do now is go in with a little bit of the yellow, because I feel like I want some more yellow. But now see, what I'm doing is the whole effect of the sponge is kind of disappearing. So there you go. There's another option. I'm going to wash and rinse. And let's pick up some of that green. And I'm just using the tip of my brush, going in, create some little leaves coming out here. like that. And they seem to kind of go down and then hook onto one branch. The last way I think I'll try is, let's start with the yellow first. See what that, because I kind of couldn't decide what I wanted to do first. Be careful with that yellow cad because it can be quite intense. It can kind of take over your picture. And let's just do some yellow. Okay, I have too much paint because it's creating a puddle. I don't want puddles. So I'm just going to take, either tap off on the side of your palette, or let's look at all that came off. That would be disaster on your painting here. So I'm going to create that middle section, leaving lots of white space in between. And then I'm going to go in with red, and let's see what the difference is. Okay, just using barely the tip of my brush. I'm anchoring my hand. So wash, rinse as well as I can with my rinse water. And then pick up some of that. Now I'm going to be going wet in some areas. So again, I don't want to have too much liquid on my brush. There we go. And this red, again, it's kind of intense. So this was starting with red first, then yellow. This one is starting with yellow first, which I don't know, maybe I like that better. I don't know, kind of looks the same. And then I'll go back in with the darker redder once it dries a bit, because if I go in right now, it'll just spread. I guess I could tap in a bit. But I'll let it dry and then I'll go in and add some more. Okay, and while that is kind of drying, I want to go in with wet on wet and create the little stem and leaves. So I'm going to put some of that green on my palette. Oop. And when I'm picking up paint, I'm not going in with the tip of my brush because I don't want to damage the tip of my brush. That's the really important thing on my brushes, is I don't get the paint in the ferrule and I don't drill. If you have little drill holes in your paint, you're probably going in with the tip of your brush. Okay, so I'm going to make that a little darker. There we go. And let's see. Notice they're definitely fatter at the bottom. And go in. I'm going to darken that up a bit so it kind of matches the others. Maybe add a little water. Definitely fatter at the bottom. There you go. Maybe a little tiny bit of olive green. Maybe on its side. Like that. Yeah, kind of like that. And there you go. So there's a couple different ways to paint those that I think is fun. You might give it a try. So this one, we went from red to yellow. This one, I think I actually like going from yellow to red. And then this is with a sponge, which, yeah, it's okay. It's a little messy. Nothing wrong with that. And there you go. I might add in, I kind of like all those colors, but I might add in just a teeny bit of dark to some of these. Yep. There we go. There you go. This one, really, when you're doing your stems, make your stems, find the center of your flower and make sure your stem, so I'm a little to the left, is pointing towards the center of your flower. Otherwise, it looks a little wonky. And there you go. There's your Lantana. Alrighty, I hope you give it a try. Have fun. I will put all my supplies in the bottom that I used for you. And I'll also put a link. Please, please, if you're interested, just go and check them out. It'll tell you all the sizes that come with it. I was so excited to get this beautiful magenta that I love. And I designed all the brushes kind of based on what you see me use a lot. And I just think they're really pretty. And please sign up and have them notify you when they come out. All right, I will talk to you all soon. Thanks for being here. Bye.